Hi again, Risa here, back with another episode of Ask Risa. This is my fortnightly video series where I discuss some common wedding planning questions and cover some topics that you might be having trouble with if you are planning your own wedding. This week, I want to talk about what to look for in a wedding venue. The venue is one of the first things you need to look for because until you have a venue, you don't really have a wedding date. And until you have a wedding date, you can't really hire any of your other vendors or start telling people, when your wedding is. So venue, super important, has to be done pretty early on in the process. One thing I will say by way of advice is I recommend that you look at more than one venue. You may have a venue in mind already, and that's fine, but you should at least compare it to something else just to see what's out there. You don't have to look at every venue. There's a lot of venues out there, but I would say look at least 3 just to make sure you're covering your bases and you're comparing prices and different options and things like that, so you have a better idea of what's out there. So obviously, the most important criterion when it comes to looking at a venue is whether they have your date available, the date that you're interested in. 2 weeks ago, I did a video about how to choose a wedding date. So if you missed that one, go back and find that one. You can find it either on my IGTV or on YouTube because I walked through exactly how to narrow down a wedding date. Maybe you're going to end up with one particular date that you want. Maybe you're going to end up with a couple of dates. But if the venue you're interested in isn't available on any of the dates that you want, you can cross that venue right off your list. No further questions are necessary. And the other really big sort of non-negotiable factor is the size of your guest list, how many people you plan to invite to your wedding. Because if the venue can't accommodate that many people, then again, cross them off your list. If you're having a wedding for 400 people and the venue can only accommodate 150, well, they're not gonna be a good fit. There's no way you're gonna be able to fit that square peg into that round hole, so just move on. So those are your first 2 factors to consider, how many people you have and whether they're available on your date. So let's assume we've made it past those hurdles. What other questions should you be asking the venue as you are either emailing with them, talking to them on the phone, or when you schedule a visit to actually go and look at them? Make sure before you schedule any visits, clarify those first 2 points. Find out if they are available on the dates you're looking at and if they can handle your capacity, because there's no point in going to look at a venue that doesn't meet those criteria. So what else comes with the venue for your fee? Like, they're charging you a fee. What do you get for it? Are you just getting space? Are you literally just getting a building, 4 walls and a floor and a roof? Or are there other things included in that? A lot of times venues will include tables and chairs. So that's nice, but you do want to make sure that they're the right kind of tables and chairs that you're interested in. Most venues, if they do include tables and chairs, they're going to be folding tables, so you're going to need tablecloths for them. And they're going to be those pretty standard white padded seat folding chairs. Usually they're made of plastic, sometimes they're made out of wood. If that's not the look that you want for your wedding, if you were thinking more wooden farm tables with wood crossback chairs and cushions on the seats, there are a couple of venues that will have that type of table and chair available, but it's not as common as the folding chairs and folding tables. So if you are already envisioning a style that the venue doesn't provide the right equipment for, then it doesn't really matter whether the venue provides tables and chairs, because you're going to end up renting them anyway and you're going to be spending money on those rentals. So maybe find a venue that doesn't include tables and chairs, because they're building the cost of those tables and chairs into the rental fee one way or another. You're paying for those. So it's stupid to pay a higher venue fee for a bunch of tables and chairs that you're not going to use, and then you have to turn around and rent different ones. So try to have some idea of the aesthetic you're going for, so that when the venue tells you, oh, and we also include these tables and chairs, well, if those aren't the tables and chairs you want to use anyway, then that's irrelevant to the calculus. Like that's not a benefit to you if you don't want to use their tables and chairs. Another important thing to think about is how many tables and chairs are they providing? Because if they only provide them for 150 people, but you're inviting 200 people, again, you're going to have to rent some tables and chairs to make up the difference. And so make sure the cost of those rentals is factored into your total overall cost for the venue when you do your venue comparison. Spreadsheets are helpful for this, I'm always talking about how great spreadsheets are. Some people hate them, but they can be very useful when you need to compare columns of information. So just keep that in mind. Another thing to think about is restrooms. How nice are the restrooms? Are they inside? Are they outside? Are they super utilitarian? Are they fancy? Does the venue provide any sort of amenity baskets, or will you need to or want to do that? Things like breath mints, hairspray, feminine products, mouthwash strips, just, little stuff that people might want in the restroom. That's something to think about, because some venues, especially the ones that are more rustic and out in the country, their restrooms can be a little not great. So just make sure you see them when you go for your venue visit. Is there a place for the couple to get ready? A lot of places will call this a bridal suite and groom's quarters, which I personally really dislike that, because it's, first of all, it's too gender normative and it eliminates same-sex couples. If you have two brides, which one of them is going to be in the bridal suite and which one of them is going to be in the groom's quarters? If you have two grooms, is one of them going to be in the bridal suite? It's stupid. I wish venues would stop doing that. More venues need to have gender neutral rooms for couples to get ready in. But that's a topic for another day. When you're looking for a venue, just keep in mind what's going to suit your purposes. Do they have a place for you to get ready in? Does it suit your particular purposes? How big is the space? Is there room for your bridesmaids or your groomsmen? Is there room for your hair and makeup artist or multiple hair and makeup artists if you have a large wedding party? Is there room for your photographer, because they're going to be there taking pictures of everybody? What's the light situation? Are there a lot of windows? Is there a lot of natural light? Because that's what your makeup artist and your photographer are going to want. They're going to want a lot of natural light. Is there a fee for using the getting ready space? Or is there a cleaning fee or something like that? A lot of places will just include it, but some places will charge you for it. They have it there, but it's not included in the general fee. So find out about that. Also, what do the grounds look like at this venue? Think about your photo ops. Are you going to be doing a first look session? Are you going to do sunset photos? Where are you going to do your family photos and your wedding party photos? Which direction does the sun set? Depending on what time of day you're having your ceremony, where's the sun going to be? Is it going to be shining in everyone's eyes, either the wedding party standing up front or the guests sitting in the audience? Are there any obstructions that you're going to need to deal with? Just think about where you might want to do photos, and do the grounds accommodate all the ideas that you have? One good way to research this is to go on Instagram and search by location tag. So every time I post a photo of a real wedding, I tag the location where that wedding happened, so that if someone is looking for that particular wedding venue, my photos will show up. And that is a great way for you as a client or a couple to get to know venues, is to look on Instagram of where people have tagged photos that have actually been taken at that spot. Super helpful. Timing wise, how late can your wedding go? Can it go late into the night? Are you planning to party until 1 a.m.? Most cities and counties have noise ordinances, so weddings have to end either at 10 or 11 p.m. Some venues will let you go later if you pay a fee. Some venues will let you go later just as a matter of course, and some venues, it's a hard stop at whatever time it is, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's no ability to go later than that. So that's something you'll want to ask about. Also, how long is your rental period for the day? So a lot of venues will give you basically use of the property for the whole day, from like 9 in the morning until whatever that time is that the wedding ends, plus an extra hour for cleanup usually. Some venues will give you the place for the whole weekend. That's kind of popular here in Northern California. Some of the ranch properties they just do one wedding a weekend, and whoever books, they get the property for the whole weekend, which is great because then, you can have your rehearsal whenever you want, and you can bring stuff in ahead of time, and you don't have to get everything out at the end of the wedding. You can come back the next day. Some venues are super strict. You may only get your venue for 6 to 7 hours, and hopefully that doesn't include your setup and your cleanup time, because it takes at a minimum 2 hours to set up a wedding. Like, at a minimum. Preferably we like to have more than that, but 2 hours is the absolute minimum that we need to set up a wedding. And cleanup usually takes at least an hour. So you have to make sure you've got enough buffer on either side. And speaking of rehearsals, you also want to find out when you can have your rehearsal. So if you're having a Sunday wedding, you're not going to be able to have your rehearsal on Saturday because they probably have a wedding on Saturday. You might be able to have your rehearsal Saturday morning, but you're not going to be able to have it Saturday afternoon or Saturday evening. Some venues, Saturday weddings, they have to rehearse on Thursday because maybe they have a wedding on Friday. So that's something to think about, especially if you have immediate family members coming in from out of town, like your parents and your siblings, the people you want to be at your rehearsal, and then your wedding party, all your bridesmaids and groomsmen. You need them at your rehearsal too. So if your wedding is on the weekend, but your rehearsal is going to be on a Thursday, is everybody going to be able to come into town on Thursday for that? So when you can hold your rehearsal is very important. Catering. Does the venue do the catering in-house, or can you bring in your own caterer? There are benefits to both. If you are hiring a venue that does its own in-house catering, I know this is going to sound weird, but chances are you are not going to be able to attend a tasting until after you've already booked. So you've booked the venue, you've put down money, and then you get to taste their food. It's backwards, but there are reasons for doing that. So try to find out, if you can, what the food is like before booking. If you know anybody who's gotten married there, if any of your friends of friends have gotten married there, reach out to them, check online reviews, ask your wedding planner if you have one already, or if you've already booked a DJ or a photographer somehow before your venue searching, ask them too, or just reach out. I mean, if some person who hadn't hired me yet emailed me and asked me, hey, do you know anything about so-and-so venue food? I would answer their question. It doesn't matter. I'm always happy to provide information. And on wedding day, the planner, the photographer, and the DJ should all be fed either by the venue caterer or the outside caterer, whoever's providing the food. The couple should be feeding those vendors because they're on the property with you like all day for like 8 to 10 to 12 hours. So we all know roughly how good everybody's food is. We don't always get the same meal as the guests, but usually we're getting something that's indicative of the quality of that caterer or venue. So feel free to ask other wedding vendors about that. And just do what you can to find out how the food is. If the food's important to you. I mean, it was very important to me when I got married. Maybe food doesn't matter that much to you, and in which case just, whatever, go for aesthetics and price. Don't worry about the food, but if it's important to you, you should do what you can to find out how good the food is at a venue you're considering. And on that same note, ask about alcohol, whether or not you can bring in your own alcohol. There's generally 3 ways this is handled. Either no, not at all, you cannot bring in your own alcohol. Yes, you can bring in your own alcohol, but we're going to charge you a fee per bottle. It's called a corkage fee. Or sure, you can bring in your own alcohol, whatever, no problem. It is definitely cheaper for you to bring in your own alcohol, to go to Costco or Total Wine or Bevmo or wherever, local brewery, local winery, buy the alcohol yourself and bring it in. It's always going to save you money. So that's a really important thing to ask your venue when you are searching. I created a free download for you to help you with these questions. It's basically just a 4-page questionnaire. You can print it out, and it has all these questions that you should ask, and it has space for you to take notes on. I put a link to this download in my Instagram profile. So if you go to my profile It'll be the very first link. Once you click on the link in my profile, it'll say venue questionnaire. If you're watching this on YouTube, I will put the link in the notes area of this video. So you can download that and take it with you. Download as many copies as you need to go to venues. And if you come up with any other questions that aren't on the questionnaire, let me know and I will add them. I will update the questionnaire based on your input, but it has pretty much everything I just covered today. So that's it for now. I will be back in 2 weeks to talk about how to search for a videographer. All right, bye for now.